All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Camille couldn't be here today, so I am going to introduce your speaker. My name is Donna Jacobisi, and I work on the membership and marketing for the Holistic Chamber. And our presenter today is Heather Potvin, and she will be sharing how to manage our money for success. So, Heather was born in Canada and moved to the US in 2001. She met and married her husband Howard in 2000, and they just celebrated 22 years. She is a QuickBooks Elite Pro Advisor, a certified public bookkeeper, and retired certified management accountant. Among other accomplishments, she's a certified DISC facilitator, advanced Toastmaster, and Shift Analytics certified advisor. Maybe she'll get into more of that in her presentation. Heather owns H Harp Business Services and is the CFO for the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. Today, she will be sharing some tips and experiences from her 14 years working with business owners and professionals. Please welcome Heather Potvin. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Donna. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And I want to say thank you to everybody who took the time out today to listen to this broadcast and to be part of this live with us. Really super excited to be able to share some things that I have learned over the last 14 years. Some of the things that I'm going to share, even though they apply to business, could possibly apply to your personal life. So there's going to be something in here for just about everyone. The first thing that I want to do is I want to give you a little bit of my own backstory. In 2008, let me do this first. Let me tell you the things that we're going to talk about, and then I'll share a little bit about my own history and how I ended up owning this company. Today, in the next half hour or so, we're going to talk about 3 whys, the most important things that you need to know. Why do you need to know this stuff? Of course, what and when, what kind of company to create and when to create it. And then, of course, things to know and manage in your own company. And how does all of this fit into your holistic lifestyle? My business is run from a holistic point of view. I am a firm believer in the mantra, the focus for the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, and that is a story for another time. However, in 2008, I was working for one of the largest industrial commercial construction companies in Southern California. I believed 2 very important things. One, I believed that it would be the last job that I would have because I believed that I was going to retire there. In 2009, I walked into the office on a Friday morning. By 10 o'clock, I had walked out with the contents of my desk. I had gone about 4th round layoff. So I got home that day and put my stuff away and let my husband know that I had been laid off. And the phone rang very shortly after I got home, and it was one of our subcontractors who had said to me, Heather, we just heard you got laid off and would like to offer you a job. And I said, can I call you back on Monday? Because I really need to kind of process and absorb what has happened here. And they said, of course. And I talked about it with my husband and said to him, now might be a really good time for me to start my own company. And we talked about getting a job, and we talked about where the downturn was going to happen and how long that it might be. And all of those things, of course, were very much unknown. So Monday morning, I called up the subcontractor back up and I said, let me ask you a couple of questions. The first question, of course, is if this trend continues, how long do you think you can keep your doors open? And how much do you have in reserve? How long can you keep your doors open if you don't have any work coming in? And they said to me about a year. And I said to them, okay, so realistically, what is it you would like me to do for you? And they laid out a couple of things that they needed. And I said, I have a proposition for you. How about I come in at this period of time? We settle on a fee and I can help you with those things. That's how I started my company. I went and got some certifications, hence the CPB, Certified Public Bookkeeper. Registered for a DBA with the County of San Bernardino. Took on a couple of clients. Basically made it all about finding out what it is those people needed and providing a service. Over the course of the last 13, 14 years, I have learned so much about running a business. I knew absolutely nothing about running a business when I started this. I've learned from other people's mistakes and I've learned from my mistakes. Trust me, you can't get through this business life without making a few of your own. So today I would love to be able to share with you some of the things that I have actually learned. Here's a little bit about my company and our beliefs. We work very closely with our clients, no matter where they are in their business life. And I am going to share with you that I truly believe that a business is as organic as we are, as organic as our beliefs, and as organic as this world that we live in. It does have a cycle. It starts from the very beginning when somebody has a wonderful idea and, oh my God, I think I can make some money doing this. And so they do. They develop a product, they develop an idea, and then they go find clients and people to sell it. And it could start with an amazing batch of cupcakes that you make in your kitchen. And then your friends want to buy it. And then you're doing it for the school. And then you're doing it for this and you're doing it for that. And all of a sudden you find out that you just maybe need a bigger kitchen. Now what happens? You might have to go to the bank. You might have to ask them for some kind of a loan or something like that. And then it becomes a really super scary thing. Now, suddenly this wonderful, beautiful idea that you had now requires all kinds of things that you don't know anything about. And now you have to learn. And so those are some of the things that I'm going to share them with you. Couple of the biggest things are getting really comfortable with what you're worth, what your product is worth, and what you can charge for that, and how much money you can bring in and how much money you need, and things like break even, things like overhead, all kinds of things that you may not necessarily have thought about when you first started your business or your company. And then, of course, what happens if I decide I don't want to do this anymore? And all of that becomes the cycle of your business. A couple of things that I am going to cover is, one, how do you present your pricing to your clients? Those are services that I offer to some of my startup businesses. So let's talk about why. The big fat why, the biggest why you will ever have, is the whole reason why you wanted to do this in the first place. Regardless of whether it's a service that you provide or a product that you offer to somebody, the big thing is the why. It's the passion that you have for the product that you sell or the service that you provide, that you want to help somebody, that you want to share with them the things that you've learned and the things that you know, and you want to help. Help is probably the biggest why of all. And then the other whys that come in are, well, why do I have to keep track of my income and expenses? Why do I have to hire people? There are all kinds of things that happen during the course of the life of your business that make those things become necessary. If you want the IRS to look at your business as if it is a real legitimate business, then you have to look at licensing, and you have to look at what kind of corporate structure that you want to have, and all of those kinds of things. So here are 3 whys that I would really like you to think about. Oh, I didn't get to say at the very beginning of this, which is something that I wanted to say. If you have questions about anything that I am sharing at this point, please, if you have access to the chat, put the question in the chat, and Donna will actually pop in and be able to read those questions. So if I cover something that you don't quite understand, please, by all means, ask a question, stop me. I'll be more than happy to circle back on something that I've talked about. So, a couple of things that I want to share with you now. Creating a healthy business life means having a really healthy relationship with the money side of things. And I'm going to share 2 points that I really want you to kind of get with this. One, it's okay to want to help people. I do. I help people all the time. My passion is to work with small businesses and startup businesses and help get them on the right foot. But that doesn't mean that the value that I bring to that help isn't worth something. And I am super comfortable with the fees that I charge for my services, the services that I provide to my clients, and the help and benefit that I bring to them. And if I can share nothing else with you that makes sense to you, is get super comfortable with that ideology. Get and understand what you're worth. Get and understand what your product is worth. And be super, super comfortable asking for that, because the moment you change your mind shift from, I really want to help people, and oh my God, I'm so afraid to ask for money because what if they don't like how much I'm charging, or what if they think I charge too much? Once you change your mindset to, here are the services that I provide, and this is what it's worth. What is it worth to you? The other thing that I say on top of all of that is never discount what you're worth. The moment you discount what you're worth, the person on the receiving end of that will discount you. They will in their mind forever think that you are not worth what you say you are worth. So figure out what it is that your product or your service is worth. Stand behind your fees, stand behind yourself, stand behind what you offer. So now let's talk about the 3 whys. Why did you choose the path that you're on? Be absolutely crystal clear on what that is. For me, my tool is the accounting software, my accounting background, my knowledge of numbers, and my ability to do problem solving. Those are the tools. The path that I'm on is to be able to help small businesses and small business owners get to the point where they can grow and succeed. Here's the next why. Why do you need to know how to manage money? Because unfortunately, the reality in this world is money is the commodity that allows you to do things. It is the currency that we use to pay for the things that we need, to do the things that we would like to be able to do to take care of ourselves, mind, body, and soul. And the last big fat why is, why do you need to know this stuff? Because unfortunately, there are rules and regulations, and there's the IRS, and there are the banks, and there are lenders and there are finances. And if you want to buy a house, you need to know what your business is worth and how much revenue you bring in and how much money do you need and budgeting and all those wonderful things that go along with all of this. So I want to talk about a little bit about what this is. The biggest thing since the pandemic is a lot of people are working from home. As a legitimate registered business, there are, again, rules and regulations, because there are always rules and regulations. But there are provisions that will allow you to write off a portion of your home. If it is your regular office, you are allowed to do that. Another big thing that everybody should know is hiring contracts should be done for all employees. And I'm going to share a quick little story with you. So when I first started my company in 2009, I was doing really good. I had a couple of clients and I was really happy. And then I got a couple of more clients. And then I was like, now I'm really super busy and I need help. So I put out an ad and I went looking for somebody who could help me. And I believed that if I hired somebody as an independent contractor, that it would be okay as long as I had a W-9 from them and I had an agreement with them that they were going to be an independent contractor. So I interviewed a couple of people and I hired this young lady and she did some work for me. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. Like very quickly, it didn't work out and I had to let her go. About 3-4 months later, I get a letter from unemployment, California Unemployment, EDD, saying that she had filed for unemployment. So I sent the paperwork back saying no, she was an independent contractor and the work that I had her do, she didn't do, and that terminated our contract. About a week after that, I got a phone call from an EDD investigator who, after an 1.5-hour interview with me, determined that because this young lady said to them that it was an employer-employee relationship, I lost, they won. I had to pay all the back payroll taxes that would have been due if I had hired her as an employee. So that's a big fat be on the lookout. If you are at the point where you need to hire somebody, by all means, get a hiring contract in place that stipulates things like terms of employment, wage, job description, any other little legalities like intellectual property. All of those things need to be spelled out in an agreement. The other thing that needs to be spelled out in the agreement are things that are in compliant with the state that you live in. So the state of California, which is where I came from, and the state of Nevada have two very different terms and conditions as far as hour and wage law goes. And those are kind of some of the things that you need to know. The other thing is when you get to that point, and I'm not talking about in the very early stages, I'm talking about businesses that might have been in place 2 or 3 years, are now at this point in their business life where these are some of the things that they need. Policies and procedure manuals, those are things that really absolutely do need to be written out. It's not all in your head. It's got to be, and there is a great book, and I can't see it on my bookshelf, but there's a phenomenal book. It's called The E-Myth. If you haven't read it and you're really seriously thinking about taking what you're doing to the next level, I highly recommend reading it. It's a great book. I think I've read it about 3 times in my career. Phenomenal book, and it talks about all of the things that I'm talking about here now. The other big thing that you kind of sort of have to look at is having a business plan for yourself. And the SBA is a phenomenal place to go and get a template. The other good place to go and get a template for creating a business plan is SCORE. They also have that in place as well. Other things that you need is you need insurance. If you are a professional, the moment you decide you want to become a business, you really need to have professional insurance or errors and omissions insurance. And those are a big thing. And I don't sell those kinds of things, but I know people who do. Hi, Donna.
Hi, Heather. Can you give us the name of that book again? Somebody is asking for that.
It's called The E-Myth.
The E-Myth. Okay.
Yep, it's The E-Myth. And I think there's a newer version called The E-Myth Revisited.
Okay.
They're both phenomenal books.
Okay. Thank you.
I
have another question, but we maybe wait a little bit for that.
Okay.
Or do you want me to just give it to you?
No, go for it. Ask me now.
So Simple Tech is watching us, and they have asked best advice on how to structure my business during these times while prices are going up.
That's a toughie. No, but that's a great question.
Yeah.
Great question. Understanding what your bottom line is, and I'm talking specifically to Simple Tech, but this could apply to other people. Knowing and understanding what your bottom line is, also knowing and understanding what the market will handle. So, and people say this all the time, and people said it to me when I first started my business. So what do other bookkeepers charge? Do you know what they charge? Do you know who they are? Do you know what other people are selling the software for? And I'm like, I don't know. So I would look at, and LinkedIn is a good place to go to get that kind of market research. And, you could go onto the URL and you could go to some HR sites. There's a couple of them that I know of that will give you trades, professions, and comparable wage and pricing. There's a couple of them. After this, if anybody is interested, through the Holistic Chamber, I can email a couple of websites where you can go and look at some market research on pricing and industry standards. And again, it's going to be different depending on what state you're in and what region of the country you're in. Like if you live in California, I know prices are outrageous. But if you are in maybe Vermont, pricing might be a little less, but then the cost of living might be a little less. So it really depends on where you are in the United States.
We can share those links also in our follow-up email.
Absolutely. Yes. I should make myself a note to put that together. Okay. Big thing for the IRS. You need to have a separate business bank account. On the next screen, I'm going to go through like 10 most common mistakes business owners make, which is kind of what part of this is. But the big one is if you want the IRS to treat you and what you're doing as a legitimate business, you need a separate bank account. You probably need a business license for the state that you're in and the city that you're in, and maybe even the county that you're in, depending on what state you're in. So that's like super important. The other couple of things that you need to know is that you are 100% responsible for filing your tax returns, regardless of who you pay. You hire a CPA, you go to H&R Block, you go to, I can't think of, Liberty Tax. Doesn't matter who you hire, the IRS still considers that you are responsible for making sure that that kind of stuff gets done. And then, of course, the last thing is a bunch of deadlines, and that's a topic for another conversation, I think. So here we are. Over the course of the last 14 years, these are some of the things that I have learned or found out from working with other small businesses. So what kind of, I'm not going to go through them all. I want to cover a couple of big ones. And the biggest one is, my business is a hobby. And I'm going to answer that question really simply and clearly. If you don't treat what you're doing like a legitimate business, neither will the IRS. The IRS will actually give you 3 years to show a loss. If you show a loss during the course of the 3 years and you show a loss that is less than each year, they will consider you a legitimate business and they will give you a little more leeway. That's a big fat one. Knowing how much things cost you, knowing how much your income and expenses are. Creating budgets are really super, super important. Jack of all trades and master of none. Most of us, when we start our businesses, that applies to us. We try to do absolutely everything, and it's either because we can't afford to hire a professional to do the things that need to be done for us, or the biggest one is you don't know what you don't know. That's probably the biggest thing. One of the ways to get around that is actually to seek out other professionals. Seek out other people who do the same thing that you do or something very similar to what you do and ask them questions. I can tell you in my first 5 years, I had some amazing, wonderful mentors. I had people walk up to me and say to me, Heather, what can we do to help you? How can we help you become successful? Who can I introduce you to? For me, that is huge. And that's one of my biggest motivators for doing something like this. Because I got to tell y'all, this is way outside my comfort zone. And one of the things that I do say is that I have been living outside my comfort zone for so long now, it's becoming comfortable. Speaking in public, speaking here live to I don't know how many people are out there, not my comfort zone, completely not my comfort zone. But because I had a lot of people come and help me over the years, now I want to give back. So if there is something in this amount of time that you get to walk away with that will help you, that's a total win-win for me and it feeds my passion. Okay, so two things that I really do want to cover in the amount of time that we have left is not that. So we'll stay on this screen for now. Knowing and understanding your numbers. In the very beginning, usually you just hang on to a bunch of receipts because you're a sole proprietorship, which means you are a single person selling a product, selling a service, doing something, keeping track of your income, keeping track of your expenses. More often than not, and I'm not kidding, I have seen people walk in with a shoebox of receipts to their accountant and say, here it is. Can you do my taxes? One of my earliest stories, and I love stories. I love to share stories, and I'm so thrilled that I actually have some that I can share. Before I did this, when I was in Canada working for an accounting firm, in my spare time, I would create jewelry and I would create ornaments and I would do the craft fairs so that I could raise some money so that we would have Christmas presents in our house. For those of you who don't know, I was a single parent back then. And so I needed to be able to generate some extra revenue. And so I did this, and it was extra pocket money and it was okay. And I didn't clear the income. And I met a young lady who made amazing jewelry. Oh my God, it was gorgeous. And we did this for a couple of years. And the third year that we did this, she came up to me and she said, I know you work for such and such accounting firm. She said, can I ask you a couple of questions? And I said, sure. She said, I am so busy that I needed to find a warehouse and I needed to hire some staff. She said, and I went into the bank thinking I could get a loan. And the first thing that they asked me was, can we see your financial statements for the last 2 years? She said, I haven't got a clue what they're talking about. She said, can you help me? And I said, sure. So we looked at her bank account, we looked at her income, we looked at her expenses, and we put together what the banks call a profit and loss statement. By doing that, she was actually able to go to the bank. She was able to get a loan. She was able to lease a warehouse and pay for staff and create way more jewelry. And it really was gorgeous. But again, you don't know what you don't know. So at that time, we did it pen and paper, because back then computers were just coming into being. There was no such thing as Peachtree or Patriot software or QuickBooks or Intuit or any of that kind of stuff. So it was all pen and paper. And I have to tell you, when I first started my own career, I worked in big ledger books. And I would start at one end of the room and I would make entries, and I would go all the way to the other. So I absolutely love accounting software. And I get that not everybody's business is where it can be, or to the point where they can handle the cost of accounting software. There are some really good ones out there. There are some really complicated ones out there. And a couple of things that we're going to talk about in the next couple of minutes is, when you're ready, what kind of software should you look for, and what do you need, and all of those kinds of stuff, from MS Money, which is like forever ago, to mobile apps on your phone. There are a bunch of them. Some of them are easy, some of them are not easy. I still have to say that I like QuickBooks. It is probably my go-to for most small businesses. And I'm not going to get into a lot of sales and marketing on this kind of stuff, because really I want to be able to educate you. And if and when people are ready, I would be more than happy to help figure out with them what it is they need and where they need to go. This is something that I always share. When you're out there in the world, a couple of things to think about. Who do you know that could use a guiding hand when it comes to understanding? This says their company numbers, but I'm going to put it right out there for everybody. Who do you know that might need a helping hand getting all of this put together and getting all of this set up? And there are some other things, so I'm going to skip over this pretty quickly. This is something special that I am offering only to Holistic Chamber members. Again, I totally respect where people are in their business life and what they can and cannot handle financially. If you think you are ready for accounting software, I think that QuickBooks is super easy to use. The QuickBooks Online is really cool. It's got the app that goes with it and all of that kind of stuff. And this is a special link just for our Holistic Chamber members. Having said that, Camille Leon, our founder, made a decision this afternoon to offer a special promo. Where are my notes for the special promo? Special promo starting tomorrow and ending July the 5th. The code is Freedom35. If you are currently not a Holistic Chamber of Commerce member, this is a great way for you to find out about us and who we are and what we have to offer, and the collective community that you have exposure to, which I think is phenomenal. The code is Freedom35. It is available for anybody who is not currently a chamber member, and it waives the $35 processing fee. So I'm going to tell you real quick about this link that's on the screen. What this gives Holistic Chamber members is a 10% discount off the retail price of QuickBooks. You can go onto the website, you can look and see what it is. It also will give you a 1-hour consultation. So you have 1 hour to pick my brain. As a holistic chamber member, you can pick my brain, ask me questions. Not everybody is ready in their business life to have someone like my company come in and help you. Sometimes, really, seriously, all you need is a helping hand or a guiding hand, and I will be more than happy to do that for our chamber members. I love this chamber. I love the things that we stand for. And I am 100% behind you guys. Just so you all know, yes, I'm an accountant, and yes, accounting is my specialty, but my philosophy is right in alignment with the philosophy of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. And I feel blessed and honored to get to be a part of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. I am honored and blessed to be able to connect with other like-minded people, because sometimes we feel like we're alone. I want to thank you all so very much for spending the last half hour, 35 minutes with me. And please, if you have any questions, I think that we're good for probably about another 5 or 10 minutes or so, aren't we, Donna?
Popping back in. Yes.
So if anybody has a question, please, by all means, pick my brain.
Yeah. A question, like some of the things you were mentioning that you need to do, like, coming up with your why and, what are you worth and what's your product worth and are you comfortable? Like if someone wants to really dig down and do all of that, is there somewhere they can get started doing that? Or would that come into what you were just mentioning? Like maybe with the members, they picking your brain?
If they are a Holistic Chamber member, I will be more than happy to give them an hour of my time and talk about those things, helping them figure out what their why is. I have to say, it really is a journey. When I first started my company, I really wasn't comfortable charging the fees that I was charging. And all of a sudden there was a mind shift that happened in my brain from, whoa, wait a second. I have all of these years of experience. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is what I'm worth. It's a fair and reasonable price. And yeah, that is what I'm worth. Yeah. That mind shift sometimes takes a little bit of a journey. But if we have a chamber member, all they have to do is click on the link and set an appointment with me, and I'll be and put in the notes or something that they want to talk about their why. I'll be more than happy to do that.
And just to let everybody know, the members, once they log in, they can get to that link through the dashboard and to the member special offers. And they will find you there and find that link.
Thank you, Donna. I had no idea. It goes out to you don't know what you don't know.
Yes. Well, we have some thank yous. Simple Tech, thank you. You're an amazing accountant. I highly recommend H. Harp.
That's cool. Thank you, Armands.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, he is a chamber member, and he is phenomenal at software integration. Anybody, and no, he didn't pay me to say that. But he is phenomenal at software integration. He handles all of mine. And I got to tell you, you guys would just freak out if you knew how much I pay in software.
I think you mentioned it to me. I know.
I did, but I'm not mentioning. I'm not broadcasting it.
No. I don't see any other questions.
No other questions? Well, again, everybody, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and what you're doing to come and listen to little old me.
And thank you, Heather, for all that great information. And just a reminder, the Freedom 35 starts tomorrow through July 5th. We'll also be sending a follow-up email with some of this great information to everybody that registered. And I'm also going to put some more, try to go to each social media site and put some more information where the live presentation is. So
very cool. Thank you, Donna, for all your help. This was really
well,
fun.
Yeah, it was fun getting it all set up. If you want to learn more about membership, our website there on the bottom, holisticchamberofcommerce.com, and you'll see a membership tab. You can learn more about the different memberships that we offer.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
All right, Heather. Well, I thank you very much. And we're signing off.
Have a great evening, everyone.